Shalom, everybody. My name is Rabbi Mendel Bogomilsky from Chai Center Chabad in Short Hills. This week's Parsha is Vayera. Vayera contains several major storylines. We begin with the story of Abraham, first Jew, our patriarch, greeting three individuals he believes are human. We find out later they're angels. And he invites them into his tent, takes care of them personally, waiting on them hand and foot, showing extreme hospitality to them, even though he himself is suffering from the effects of his circumcision only a few days prior. We then find out that these angels are heading towards Sodom, a city, together with other sister cities, that is going to be destroyed because those cities are extremely wicked. We read how Abraham argues with God, trying to advocate on behalf of these cities, that they should in fact not be destroyed, eventually is unsuccessful, but does spend a lot of time in that discussion. We read then about the birth of Isaac, Abraham's son, and eventually, at the end of the parsha, we read how God instructs Abraham to take his only beloved son, Yitzchak, Isaac, and to offer him as a sacrifice, to slaughter him at the top of Mount Moriah. In fact, he's almost about to do that, and an angel comes and stops him at the very last moment. The obvious question is, why is it that he is so kind, Abraham, to strangers, so ready to spend time on behalf and advocate on behalf of cities full of people who really were wicked people? But yet when it comes to his own son, his beloved son, does not argue, does not offer any substitute, does not even delay, the Torah tells us, Vayashkem Abraham baboker, he wakes up early in the morning to do God's bidding. And the answer our sages tell us is that God tested Abraham in this way to teach him and to show him and to bring out to us, his children, that morality does not come from our personal convictions. Our sense of right and wrong does not come from some external barometer that we have acquired from who knows where. Our sense of right and wrong comes from God's instruction to us. Abraham knew and believed that God wants us to be kind to strangers. God wants us to help those who have no food and no shelter. God wants us to advocate on behalf of those who, even if they appear to be wicked, perhaps there is some good in them. And therefore, that's exactly what Abraham did. But if God directly informs us and instructs us to do something that appears to us to be almost cruel, senseless, but for some mystical reason, God himself is asking us to do that, then we truly and wholeheartedly believe, in fact, that that is the ultimate of kindness, that is the ultimate of loyalty, devotion, the ultimate of holiness. In fact, if we act in this way, and we do not overlay our sense of morality over the Torah, God forbid striking out passages and pieces of the Torah that seem not to be in sync with our own sense of morality, but rather we do the reverse. We base our sense of right and wrong, we base our sense of morality on what the Torah instructs us, what the mitzvahs in the Torah teach us, what our sages and our prophets have explained to us. Then in fact we become, as we read in the beginning of last week's Torah portion, a blessing to the nations. The nations bless us for our sense of guidance, our sense of morality, our sense of steadfastness to our Creator's desires, our Creator's wishes. And in fact, we then create not chaos, but harmony, and not destruction, but blessing. Shabbat Shalom.